Guitar design. What's best? Part 2. Necks. So, what do you need in a neck? Well, you don't need a whole lot. It needs to, connect the top to the bottom. It needs to be able to support string tension. And that's not a whole lot. I mean, it's like if you've got a set of Ernie Ball, extra slinkies, set of 8s through 38s, and you put it on a Fender scale length guitar, you're talking between 77 and 78 pounds of tension total for all 6 strings. And go to stringjoy.com and they've got a calculator. You can punch this kind of stuff up on it. So yeah, you don't need a whole lot in the way of strength, because that's compression. By and large, it's mostly compression. So it turns out all you really need is something like this. This is the neck off the Excalibur. This actually used to be on this guitar right here. But yeah, something like that. But obviously you're going to want a truss rod or something. But you can also do something like this. A piece of angle aluminum, just real thin stuff like this. It's plenty stiff enough. It's not going to bend. I can't bend this stuff, even with 2 hands. So, yeah, you'd be surprised. Something like this, a neck like that, might not even need a truss rod. Now, when you do a truss rod, basically for the profile for the neck, where'd the regular neck go? I lost a neck. I had a neck. Hold on a sec. Okay, I found it. It's right in front of me. This is the regular neck. Yeah. If you got something like this, this is an eBay neck. You can get this. I guess this is a maple. Yeah. So right now these are going for about $36 on eBay. It's got a truss rod in it, of course. Now, and it's your standard kind of like a shallow C kind of a carve, or thin C, I guess you'd call it, profile. Now, as far as like stiffening or strength for against the neck bowing from the string tension, you need something. You need a truss rod, you need some material. This is actually enough, believe it or not. But obviously you need a truss rod in order to adjust for climate control. Now, this guitar is another example of that kind of design. The idea here being the fretboard and the neck are only attached at the 2 ends, and you can shim it if you have problems with the neck bowing. This one here, originally it was a bolt-on that was reversible with the fretboard, this fretboard here, so that if for some reason it actually bowed so that the center was up and the ends were down, you could just take it all apart, flip it all over, and then do it the other way, and put shims in if necessary in order to get the frets level. But yeah, so you don't need a whole lot of material. And when it comes to the profile itself, like on this, it turns out that it's looking like the best kind of profile is a trapezoid shape. Let's see examples. This is a trapezoid. This is a very rounded trapezoid, actually. This one's a trapezoid. This one is a trapezoid. Another rather rounded one. Here you go. Here's a good example of a trapezoid. This is the new neck for the red guitar here. This is the original neck, and it actually was kind of a rounded V thing. This is before I really came across the trapezoid shape, but you can see the issues with doing a V is you can cut into the truss rod cavity. And that's why the trapezoid's a better option, because then you're guaranteed to have a few mil of material behind the truss rod and no issues. This is basically how you set it up. You just see how wide your truss rod cavity is here, and then you just come on the back, mark it out, and all the way down, and get your Shinto rasp, and that's all it takes in order to shape this out. This one's roughed by hand, and it's about ready for sanding. And let's see some other examples. This is the X6, which once again is a trapezoid. It's pretty rounded off though. They start like this with the faceted thing, and then I go crazy with the sander. Here's a good example of a trapezoid. This one's actually, you can see the trapezoid really good on this one. This is the X5. I decided to take that experimental build and make it a fully proper build. So, yep, that's the new X5. I'll be doing a video on that. And then this here, this is on a trapezoid. This is a 1969 Fender neck, original. This is the first guitar I ever purchased. The neck off it. The guitar died, water damage, but yeah, and yeah, 12 string, acoustic. Okay, so yeah, trapezoid. 20 millimeters thick seems to be about as thin as you can go. If you take a look here, guitar number 3, this one's 20 millimeters thick all the way along. This one here that I just finished, this is 20 millimeters thick with the thin heel as well. Most of these are, some of these are 20 millimeters thick. Some of these are just a trapezoid but haven't been thinned down to 20 millimeters. But 20 millimeters seems to be about as low as you can go safely, the full length of the neck, without getting this kind of stuff here. Right there. Just barely cut in. And yeah, worse cut in. That's much worse there. That actually was playable until it broke, so it looks much worse than it feels. And the back end, the spine here, about 10 millimeters wide, seems to be the typical size for these truss rod cavities on these necks. And like I mentioned, this kind of stuff actually might be just as well. I might not even need a truss rod. I'm probably going to do another build with something like that, a nice build. And the whole idea is a smaller cross-sectional area, which means there's less stuff in the way of your hand reaching around and getting at the fingerboard. It's simple as that. And like I said, the thin V's can cut into the truss rod, and that's why something with a bit more of the trapezoid shape to it, like this, is preferred. This will leave, you know, a good 2-3 mil of material behind the truss rod all along the length of the guitar, even though the fact that it's only 20 millimeters thick the whole length too. So this is pretty safe. And it's got enough material in it to keep it stiff. So yeah, you took this thing, you cut it in half, put it on both sides of the truss rod, and this has at least as much as this does. So still, even once you've taken all that much out of both sides of the thing, it's not an issue. Now I've also done like other things I've checked into. Let's see here. Asymmetric profiles this is an example here. This is an asymmetric profile neck that I made, and it's actually pretty nice, but now this particular one doesn't have a truss rod, and so I had issues with that, but I wish I could fix it. The thing's beautiful. But yeah, they have their advantages, but once you get down to something like this here, now notice this one doesn't have the thin heel and hasn't really been thinned out on the neck. But despite that, once you get down to something like this, there's really so little material in your way when you're playing something like this. These trapezoids, they really do feel nice. There's so little in your way that the asymmetric really is not that really necessary, I'm finding. Same idea with the diagonal type spline. If you look at this one, I was going to do a diagonal version of this thing. And the diagonal spines, like on a Strandberg, I actually took a neck, a regular neck like this, and put a diagonal carve on it. That kind of idea. And so it was, you know, faceted like this, but it was diagonal. And yeah, there's definitely merit to it, but to tell you the truth, I only see the advantage in when you're dealing with a thicker neck profile to begin with. And once you get down to a thin neck profile, I don't really see a big advantage. Basically what it boils down to is these are going to be a whole lot easier to make. So, I don't know. I really don't see a big advantage once you get down to a really nice thin neck. Like this thing's pretty nice and thin. And this thing's definitely thin. Or let's see, here you go. This one here, this about pushes the limits. It actually did theoretically break through, but yeah, once you get down to something like this thing, let me get it up here so you can see a little better. Once you get down to something that long and thin, you really don't need all the diagonals and all that other fancy stuff. All you got to do is just get as small a cross-sectional profile as you can without it busting up on you. And that seems to be the trick. And that'll still leave plenty of beef on either side of the truss rod that'll do the job and hold the string tension. Because it's all compression tension anyway. Most of it is compression tension pushing down on the thing, and sticks are very strong in this direction. It's the bending stuff that makes them snap. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. For the heel, it's looking like something triangular, like this, and I've got tons of examples: triangular, triangular. Let's see, where else? Getting more triangulars. Let's see, that one's triangular, and this one's triangular. Yeah, that's another triangular heel there. Yeah, the triangular heel and just 2 screws. So, like that one. Just 2 screws. Or, let's see, that one was a 3 screw. This one's a 2 screw there. This one will be a 2 screw. So, yeah. Basically, all you need is a solid joint. You can do it with glue, you can do it with screws, you can do it with machine inserts. If you look here, this is the original neck for the red guitar right here. And it's done with machine inserts. And this is the new neck for it to replace that damaged neck. And this new neck here, I'm just going to use 4 brass wood screws with the neck plate. And that's it. I'm not going to use the machine inserts on this one. It's overkill. So, yeah, you don't really need that much. All it has to be is a good solid connection. And two solidly screwed in screws will do the job. And that means you don't need as much wood back there for space for the screws. I mean, if you look at this one here on the X4, the neck, as you can see, had one of these offset 4-screw profile type heels on it. And so when I took this donor neck and turned it into the X4, that's the type of heel that I had to shape for it or had to work with, because I was trying to reuse the original screws that were in the neck. Nowadays, something like that, I don't even bother. I think you can see some sticking out on one of these. It was that one, I guess. Yeah, see. When this guitar's done, I'll either have to fill that, or that's going to show. But anyway, yeah, so sculpted heel there with 4 screws, but you don't really need 4. You don't need the machine inserts. You don't need 3. You can just go 2. Where's the 2? There's a 2. All you need is 2. 2 will get her done. Now let's see. As far as and like I said, triangular and flat. Now, not all of these are flat. Like this one here is going back into this thing, which is more or less a stock Super Strat kind of a build. So it's got, the heel has not been flattened at all or made any smaller. This one here has flat heel. This one does not, since that was a donor neck. I didn't do the heel. I did the neck portion of it, but I did not flatten the heel out. I also did not thin that neck to 20 millimeters. Not all these have been thinned. This one has not been thinned either because it has the full thickness heel on it. But let's see here. As far as, okay, so yeah, that takes care of like the profile and the heel, and basically the shape of necks. So yeah, it's looking basically like this is what it boils down to. Thin triangle and the trapezoid. It's going to be, it's easy to make. You can just do this with a Shinto saw rasp, and actually I think I used a Shinto saw rasp and an electric hand planer in order to do this. And then and it took me, maybe 5 or 10 minutes with the planer to get the thing down to 20 millimeters all the way across, or all the full length. And then an hour, or maybe an hour or side, and maybe an hour total with the Shinto saw rasp in order to get the neck profile. Of course, now this is probably, this might be, this could be number 10, number 12, something like that. I'm starting to lose count. I've done so many of these trapezoids now, so I'm getting pretty good at it. We're pretty used to it. I mean, I'm real pleased with this one. This one turned out real pretty. Real pretty. Real pretty. I'm happy. But I digress. So, right, okay. Enough of the neck profiles and such. Let's see. Fretboards. Rolled edges. Yeah, everybody knows what rolled edges are on a fretboard. A lot of this I'm just going to read them off the list. I don't think you need visual aids for a lot of these. Rounded fret ends is a good idea, definitely. A lot of this is coming from the player's perspective, my experience as a player. I've got, like I said in the intro, I've got 41 years playing guitars, so, and my experience as far as like truss rods and stiffening for necks goes, says that for a stay-at-home guitar, you know, just this is good enough. This is what this is a one-piece maple scarf joint truss rod. Very, very standard stuff here. 24 fret, 25.5-inch scale A. It's a non-reverse headstock. Yeah, you can make some really cool stuff with this thing. It's kind of nice rosewood too on it too. But yeah, so a neck like that, if it's going to be staying at home, that's plenty good enough. That's all you need. For a stay-at-home guitar, this is all you need in a neck. Doesn't have to be any more complicated or fancy or expensive than that. And like I said, this is a $36 neck on eBay. Okay, so now if you got a guitar that you want to gig out with, you want to take it out of your nice cozy bedroom and you want to throw it in the back of the minivan and go truck it out across the tundra mile after mile through the snow till you get to the little bar of St. Alfonso, for all you Frank Zappa fans out there, and then get up on a hot stage and play and expect this thing to be totally straight 100% every time that you try this, then yeah, you're probably going to want some stiffening to help out. So then you're talking a multi-piece neck, or like some carbon fiber inserts, aluminum rod inserts, something of that, or fire hardening. All these different approaches, technologies, they're all good viable solutions for gigging out type guitar. And so that's pretty much where it seems to be at as far as like what's better as far as like multi-laminate versus carbon fiber versus, you know, one piece versus whatever. At least according to everything that I've seen, all kind of like, you know, stirred together and boiled down to its essence. Let's see. The neck and body really should be shaped as a single unit, and I don't have an example. The last one that I actually did it on was the X3, which was a failed build. That part didn't fail, but yeah, you can see here, like, the body has been shaped to match this neck heel that came off of another guitar. And here, once again, everything is, you want to get them close. Let me find one that's close. I think this one's pretty close. Yeah, here you go. This one's pretty close, but these were actually shaped and sanded as two separate pieces. But they feel very close to being just one piece. And the basic idea is you would simply take something like that, or something like this. This might even be a better example. This again was done as two pieces, but I can get some weight on it. There we go. Okay, so yeah, this was done. This one was done as two pieces, but it's very smooth and feels like almost one piece of wood. And the whole idea is basically you would take this and then you take your sander and you just sand it down until it looked like one piece of wood with a little line going where the seam was. And all that does is that just makes it that much smoother for the player. And I've found that that's a good idea, and I need to start practicing it more on my builds. What else we got? Yeah, so neck and body shaped as a single unit gives you a nice, smooth, seamless joint. No head designs are preferred. Where's the no head? There's one. I just finished the updates on the Pros. Yeah, the no head design is preferred because it has better balance. There's a Steinberger Spirit type eBay kit clone right there. The Star Wars guitar. once again a Steinberger design. Here, the X4 is a Steinberger. Yeah, these things have just insanely great balance. All the weight's on the bottom end of the guitar, so it just can't be beat. Plus, there's also these trims are like really great. First of all, it's a full float trim. It is a lockable trim so that you can lock it and tune it and set intonation. And then all you have to do is turn that screw right there on that thumb screw and set it so that it's at 0 float, and then you just flip out your little lever and boom, there you are, in tune and ready to go. And then just flip your little lever back in again. And see, that's actually, this one needs a bit more screw to be full float. But anyway, yeah, great stuff. No head, far superior. Beats a traditional headstock all day long on balance. So yeah, and that means that you can have less material in the body. I mean, if you look around, most of these guitars, or a lot of the stuff that I'm building, they've got practically nothing in the way of body on them. This one here, the X6, this is the lightest. This is pretty much as light as you can go. This one here, well, let me set them down. Might make it a little easier. Okay, yeah. This is the X6. This is about as light as you can get in a guitar, it appears to be. You know, without going for lightweight material, ultra lightweight materials and high cost. And this tips the scales at 4¼ pounds or something like this. It's very light guitar. It's a very, very light guitar. And once again, it's a no-head design. All the weight's in the tail. So yeah, it's got great balance. You can see that it's got a somewhat shorter arm on it than some of these other guitars for the strap because it has better balance. Yeah, if you compare the length of the strap bar here versus the length of the strap bar there on the blue guitar, which one is that? That's the X5. Yeah, that one's got a much longer strap bar because it's not as well balanced because of that big old heavy headstock and all those tuners. But yeah, no head designs definitely superior. So no head necks are better, seems to be. No head necks are best. So what else is best? Locking tuners makes it easier to string up. I think this thing's got pretty much everything I'm built as lockers on it. Yeah, so yeah, locking tuners, so it's easy to string up. Scale length. Okay, yeah. Scale length